It's actually going to be cool. Give me a little bit.
Okay. Greetings, dear, precious, spirit soul, divine being that you are as your original self, eternal self. I want you to take a nice deep breath, breathe into your heart and out of the mind, and keep yourself centered. My topic, the value of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. In Theos would be in divine consciousness. I would call it, we could call it God consciousness, but I'm not talking about a false, mean, jealous, angry, blood-loving so-called God. No, the true divine source, original that we are part of. With all divine powers, qualities, abilities, you have it all. We're taught continuously that you don't. Now, why enthusiasm is really important. See, with excitement, hope, there's always going to be depression and hopelessness. Whoever they are at the time, probably would have said I could have been a manic, or I could have been, whatever they call it, you go real high and real low. And what I found from that for myself was it was the mind. It was, you'd get real excited and enthused about something, about what's going to happen and all of that, and then something then triggers the depression. It's not going to happen. What are most people depressed about? It's the belief that their future happiness has been ruined. Could be somebody ruined it, because you're then projecting into the future rather than staying now. And why enthusiasm is so important is that you're to have the absolute most magnificent future for yourself has to happen in the now. And what happens is people when they start to look at what they want to go to or attain or achieve in this moment and beyond, mostly they look into the past because they're looking into the memory bank. And in that stored every magazine article you've read, every book, or what every teacher said, what the government has told you, what your neighbors have told you, your parents, your family, your brothers and sisters. And I was talking with some family relatives yesterday that stopped by at Shasta. It was great. And just noticing how much hatred they have in their families with people. And I noticed that, that I have... there was one person, not really, it was by marriage in a family, had a lot, I've met him in all these years, and it had been years since I had seen him, all the resentment, all the hatred. You wonder why, what's their problem? Because they were the one inflicting all the trouble, but that's what happens. Because, and then this nastiness becomes contagious, just like it seems to be like a really interesting political thing, to be an intellectual and to analyze it and figure it out and do this and that. And it's endless. It's just like this one coffee shop I like to go to down in Dunsmuir. It's really great kids, the Wheelhouse. And there's a man that comes in and he donates his New Yorker magazine there. Well, I like the jokes. That's really, I really don't care. I don't read those kind of articles because I'm not an intellectual. I'm gaining spiritual intelligence and such, but I'm not one of those that really enjoys all of that intellectual discussion because they're all based on beliefs and concepts and what people have been trained to believe in or focus on. And my work always has been the divine experiment. And when I did my ministry in San Diego in the late 70s and the 50s up to 1985, I'm not the 50s, 80s, 1985, It was always about the divine experiment. And I always said, if I find something better than what I'm doing here, I'm leaving, because I'm always looking for the absolute truth. What is the absolute truth? Because, oh, there is no absolute. Yes, there is. Get over it. Because it's the basis of a foundation of who we all are. It's the fabric of our being. And we are all that life is. You and me, the divine living entities. We are life. The rest is our projection. It is our manifestation. It is the created world that we are experiencing. And every creation also has a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's just how it works. So anyway, the value in enthusiasm is this, that people tend to get taken down by what happens around them, what other people are saying, what other people are thinking. And I was noticing what these relatives too, and they're just, I love them, they're dearly beautiful. But it's always the dialogue and the stories. And being a counselor and a therapist, spiritual therapist, mentor, and working with people for how many years, teacher of, hundreds of thousands of people, I know, and training and or what did you call it? People to be ministers and practitioners and therapists and all that sort of thing. Is that what I learned in all of that? Everybody's got a story, and everybody out there, most people, believe that their story is really big deal, really important. But they forget to look, what are you trying to prove? What is the story about, and how's it working for you, the way you are behaving or acting, or how you feel and what you do? And most people have no idea that there's a choice at all, because everywhere around, whether it's television, it's movies, it's books of the past, it's story time, it's the news, it's the education in the system as to what all the subjects are in this sort of activity. And it weighs on people because it makes it look like everything's difficult and everything's hard, and you get excited, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't, and this was going to go away, and then it doesn't, and then we have this to face and that. So what happens is the person's attitude, because the attitude of enthusiasm is never wavering from your faith in the divine. And when you do that, that means not that the divine's going to work it out, get you a new car and you're going to, save your refrigerator. I don't know, because we're always wanting to think that God or source or partner is Santa Claus. You should look at the word Santa and the anagram, tell you what it is. So then they lose their enthusiasm, and then they're in the doldrums. They're depressed, they're discouraged, they're afraid, and then living in the mind like that, the people are tortured. And in the sense of torturing, because they're always going over dialogues, always judging, always analyzing, always figuring out how to be better, how to get more, how to get people to like you, how to get rid of people, how to attract people, how to get more money, how to, get less money. I mean, it's a continual process. And what happens is such a distraction because it keeps us from our center. And then when we have so many people now, when they have a little time after work or they're completely absorbed in electronics of some kind, cell technology. And you have to look at that, all of these cell towers, all of these energy systems that are working in the invisible have an effect on our bodies. And if you take a look here, as we were even filming, Michael's doing all this beautiful filming, and you can see how many dead trees. Now, this is my 9th year being at Mount Shasta, and there weren't that many dead trees 9 years ago. And then I had my cousin was saying that she'd been in Yosemite and seen all the dead trees. Well, yes, and then say, well, it's the beetle. Well, when you take a look at when people are telling you that they have rockets and they have spaceships and they're into the space and they're digging under the ground and they're making and they can't get rid of a beetle in the beginning. alarm, something's weird. And then you could, and you see the cell phone and the electron, all of this technology and the chemicals in the air and in the food and in the water and everything. And this is all attacking and maybe consciously or unconsciously or on purpose or not, but it is, and a lot of our naivete. I remember when my friend years ago said, you have to have a cell phone right away. You have to have it in the car, It was dumb. I don't use that. I don't want that. And then it cost me a couple $100 just because I couldn't get out of the contract. And then I used it, once a year to say, hi, I'm over here? No. And what happens is, excitement is always about, I'm going to enjoy something. I'm going to get something. And then depression comes when you don't, or you think it's not possible, or you're too old, or you're too young, or you're the wrong color, or you're not tall enough, high enough, healthy enough, sick enough. It's all of this that people are dealing with. And what we want to do is get back to what's simple, because the simple is the easiest and the most powerful. And that's why enthusiasm is so important. And when you stay enthused, you don't get knocked about by what's going on in the outer world of any kind at all, or even anything at home. Say the plumbing goes, you don't go, heart attack, what are you going to do? You're screaming. Why? What are you doing? It's just the plumbing. A lot of times I can go in there, and if you take a look at it, I've even fixed it. And not a big deal, but for me it was a big deal because how could I do it? Just look at it and go, you say, I got it. It's real easy. If you go, and then you fix it, or the divine has somebody show up who can fix it. It's when you're in the consciousness of the divine, you're in a constant state of enthusiasm because you're not reacting to what goes on in the outer world as if the manifestation or the creation is more powerful than you are, and in control of how you feel, your emotions, and what you do and what you experience. And that is the usual way people are just giving over their power, giving over their joy to someone else to determine whether they can be happy or miserable, afraid or secure. And the best investment you can ever make is the one you make on yourself, and how to control your mind and know how that's functioning, knowing and learning how this world operates, and most importantly, to really know and realize and bring forth your true divine nature, and to live a divine life now in a very practical sense of it, because it's the most practical approach that there could be. And that's why everything appears so complicated out there, is to take your power and just throw it out there and give it to, you've got the power over me. You can control me. You can tell me what I can do. Then they even want to make some kind of an energetic control your soul. So when you leave your body, you have to stay in this thing. Nobody can do that. And don't ever believe that, because when you believe something, you make it happen because you say it happens. Even if it doesn't, you're living in it as if it's real and true. There was like an old Twilight Zone, I think years ago, where this guy, he was riding the trains, and he got into this one train, little carriage thing, and the door got locked, and he's in there, and then he realized he's in a refrigerated car. And so he, as it goes along, getting colder and colder and colder, and then when people finally, the train stopped, and someone opened that car up there he was, and he'd left his body frozen. I mean, he didn't look frozen, but he'd left his body. And they had a little sign, a little thing that he'd written on the wall of the car, the train car, and it said, I'm taking my last breath because I'm almost gone. I've frozen to death, or something like that. But the car, the frozen or the ice or the refrigerated part of the car wasn't on. It was off. It wasn't even cold. But you see, the mind is so powerful that when we give it power, and people believe those thoughts and believe those images and believe what other people have told them and how you're stupid and you can't accomplish and you'll never make anything out of yourself and you're a failure, or the evil is taking over and it's gone and it's over and so. Not for you. This is who you have to work on. And that's the investment. I think if you look in dollars and cents, I've invested whatever I've ever had, hundreds of thousands, millions, whatever it may be, in dollars and cents, was always, always, always let me find truth here as to who I am and what's really possible for me, not just here and now, but forever, eternally, who I am. And so that, to me, is the most valuable thing of enthusiasm. And then nobody takes your bliss. It doesn't, oh, well, you don't really care then and you're just enthusiastic like an idiot. No. You know the truth. You don't buy into the stories. You don't buy into the threats. You're not a pawn in somebody else's, a game of chess. You're not just a player in somebody else's movie that is predictable, that follows the path and follows the rules and is right there. No, you follow your heart, and it's always time, place, and circumstance, because you are a divine being, and you are absolute goodness is your true divine nature. So here's the deal. Practice enthusiasm for no reason at all. Just be in God consciousness. And wherever you go is holy ground. And consciousness is contagious. And one of the most wonderful gifts we can give others is to help them to feel good. Because they're so scared and feeling so bad and terrorized and going to get sick and die and lose their mind. When you are pristine, you see, no one or nothing can ever harm you at the level of who you are. And when you know and you bring that forth, you are naturally enthusiastic with the joy of your own being. And my darlings, if any way I could serve you, you can go to the website, terrycolewhittaker.com. I have workshops and retreats coming up. You can plan your own at any date and time you want. I do phone counseling and working with people. There's also a mentoring program depending on, what it is you want to accomplish. And I am here to serve you. And I'm not here to just support you in the same old, but to assist you in attaining the fullness of the desires of your heart. Because all is possible for you, but you have to do the work. Hugs.
Cool.
Hey, here he comes.
Good.